Hey everybody, this is Helena, and I'm so excited to be talking with Candice Oneida today. She is a feminine energy empowerment coach who helps smart, successful women connect with their own feminine energy so they can attract and create the kind of relationships that they want in their lives. And I'm really excited for this topic. We're actually going to be talking about how to inspire a man's masculine desire to pursue you and win you over and be in the kind of relationship that you want to be in. Something I get asked about all the time. So I'm so pumped up and excited to talk about this topic. So welcome, Candice. Thanks for coming on my channel again. I can't wait to
my pleasure. It's always just such a delight and a joy to be with you, Helena, and such an honor really to be working with you again.
Yes, I am very excited for everybody watching. I'm just checking to make sure everything's working okay. I'm always a little nervous right as we start. Okay, yes, looks like we have a good amount of people watching. Say hi, everyone. Let us know where you're watching from and any questions you have about this topic. Candice and I, we love answering questions and diving deep into your situation. So Candice, while we're kind of waiting for some more people to join, I was just curious, out of my own curiosity, what are some challenges or mistakes you see women making when it comes to this topic of inspiring a man's masculine desire to pursue them?
Absolutely. Well, that's actually really where we have to start, is sort of what's not working, right? Because, we always have to take stock of what's not working. And look, I mean, I think you know this, Helena, but my real angle with women, whether it's around empowerment, feminine empowerment in general, or around the dynamics in relationships, is we always have to go inside of ourselves first. We have to get out of the blame game. We have to stop saying there's not great men out there. We have to stop blaming the dating apps or the dating environment or anything like that. We just have to come back to ourselves. And as we actually learn how to identify or re-identify our feminine inside of ourselves and own her back, that is the place where, in terms of mindset or turning the ship in a different direction, I would suggest that we start. And the biggest mistake I see women making, and trust me, I've done this, so I'm not pointing any fingers at anybody or anything that I haven't done. It's being in your masculine and being the pursuer. It is an absolute recipe for disaster and failure with the actual king type masculine man that you want. So when we go into our masculine energy, we are taught to do this, by the way, in every other aspect of our life, our career, professionally, with our family, our kids, we're taught to be the doer, the goer, the action taker. And when we apply this in dating and relationships, it's like the biggest turn off for a masculine man. Now, the main reason is, frankly, if you bring all that masculine energy to the table, very unconsciously, but very sensitively, because men are very sensitive to us, they hear or they see, oh, there's no room for my masculine in this relationship. There's no room for me. She's already got that handled.
Totally. I love, oh my gosh, everything you're saying is like, I have so much to say on all of that. And I love your perspective, Candice. Oh my gosh, you're just one of my favorite people to talk to on this subject. You have so many great analogies and concepts. So I can't wait to talk about all of that. I totally agree. And a lot of times a man he can't put his finger on it. He might not consciously be saying there's no room for my masculine, but he just feels his desire to pursue you and keep coming towards you can kind of diminish a little bit, right? His attraction for you can start to fade, and often he has no idea why, or it might not even get started to begin with. If a woman's taking all that masculine energy she has and like turning it onto him and trying to like make something happen constantly in the relationship, right?
And I always say, it's like this truly masculine man, which I'm going to sort of guess that a lot of the women watching this are wanting. He's been doing the masculine thing all day at work, okay? And he's been in a lot of the dynamics of the sort of the competitive masculine stuff in his work environment, sometimes with women, by the way. And I always say, that man does not want to come home to a dude at night. He doesn't want to come home into this combative, competitive environment. And I'm not saying that you're doing that consciously, by the way. We're not intending to be competitive, but when everything else in our life is telling us to be competitive, and we still believe that that's the only way to actually achieve success or achieve other things, and we take it into the dating scenario, this thing starts happening, and he will engage. He'll do one of two things. He'll engage his masculine into competition with you, because that's what he's really good at. Okay, the masculine, I should say, is really good at the competing. I'm going to become the alpha. So he'll engage in a competitive thing with you, which won't feel good to either of you, or he'll do that and or start to withdraw. So let's sort of look at masculine energy as a thing that goes forward and pushes. So if a woman comes in and she's doing the push, he's going to go, well, okay, all I know how to do with that is to combat it and to compete. Or I'm going to go, it's really not what I want. And he will exit. And as you're saying, the thing is, a lot of women don't realize another mistake. Men are extremely, extremely sensitive to us. They're extremely vulnerable in the dating arena. And they're really, really sensitive to feminine energy. And all these words we're using are not what they're thinking. They're not thinking masculine. They're not thinking feminine. But if we are not presenting that, something doesn't feel right. And if, as they are really sensitive to feminine energy, if we do turn up in the feminine, they're going to go, oh, this is an unusual woman. And he's going to be able to do that. He's going to be able to do the leaning in and the leading and bring the masculine. And that's what we have to learn to do, which is really the answer to this question in terms of how do you get this masculine man to pursue you. You have to create an energetically receptive feminine environment in yourself, in your body, in your mind, your consciousness, in which he can penetrate, in which he can enter,
I love how you put that. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone put it just like that before, creating this kind of like, I don't know, he's like an environment or like a magnetic field. I'm getting the sense of like a magnetic field. When you were talking about the man either has to combat you or withdraw, I almost feel like it's two magnets with the same charge, kind of push each other apart. If you're coming at him with your masculine and he's a masculine guy and he's trying to pursue, there's like no room for him in the relationship in a way that like makes sense to him.
And it's repelling, as you say, when you put those two the same magnets together, they actually repel each other, right?
Totally. Yeah. So that's what we're going to be talking about today in this video. And of course, we love to hear from you guys. Let us know your questions and experiences with this, all your thoughts. How does a woman do that? I am like so excited to hear, just from out of my own curiosity, your take on getting into your feminine energy and creating this kind of force field around you that draws everything in, especially that masculine man, right?
Absolutely. So I don't know if I'd call it magnetic field. I mean, I think we just use that metaphor. There is the opposing magnets, but my way to sort of describe it energetically, and of course, you and I know that there's a bit of a training that often women need to do to be able to get into their feminine power and their feminine energy because they've forgotten. But in short, I like to speak about feminine consciousness as cup consciousness. It's like a cup. It's something that receives things into it. And masculine consciousness is arrow consciousness, okay? This is actually a concept that was coined by a spiritual teacher called Arnaud Desjardins, and I really love it because it's such a simple descriptor of feminine versus masculine. So when we've been all day in our arrow consciousness, in the masculine, in the do, go, goal-oriented, achieve the things, penetrate, move forward, which is totally masculine, we need to learn how to move from that fluidly. And I'm really big on, we're not here to destroy the masculine inside of us. It's a beautiful thing. But we do need to develop or redevelop this spectrum of the feminine, okay? And also be able to transition, as you know really well, Helena, the transitions are really big for especially the smart, savvy, successful women, because we've got to learn to transition from that environment into a relationship environment. By the way, relationship, as you know so well, is the realm of the feminine. It is so much the feminine. And so we need to command and master this environment. And so if we feel into this, what does it feel? What would it feel like to be more like a cup than an arrow? What would that feel like in my body to create an environment that receives things into it, as opposed to is constantly pushing and doing and going? And so just, I mean, even right now, you can just let yourself sort of feel into your body. What would that be like? And it may render you a little like, oh, I have no idea. I don't do that very much. Or the only way you feel receptive is when you fall into bed at night, completely exhausted from that day of being in your masculine. But if you just let yourself feel a sort of yielding in your body, like a yielding in your heart, like I'm turning up hopeful to this date, or I'm turning up receptive to this man, and what's he about? What would it be like to let him in a little bit? And of course, on the first few dates, you're not letting someone totally in, but you can create an environment that is, I'm willing to, I'm curious, I'm wanting to discover who you are, and I'm wanting to allow and encourage your masculine forward toward me. Now, of course, this is not a conversation about boundaries today so much, but we assume that you're going to be smart about those boundaries. But it's still, of course, there's a whole phase of letting the man inside you. But you've got to start it somewhere. You don't want to start the first few dates as a job interview, right? Or as a boxing match.
Totally. Oh my gosh, your descriptions, I'm just like totally getting pulled into even when you're describing this. It's like, wow. And I'm sure everyone's having the same. Somebody said, I love that description. Do you mind if I check in with the chat really quick?
Please, yeah, let's see what people have to ask.
Yeah, we'll kind of like weave the questions all throughout. I love doing that. So yeah, let us know your questions, you guys. Hi to Fiona. Roxy says, yay, I follow Candice. I'm in her group. Excited to join you ladies. Rachel, Jamia, and Shelby, Robin, Valerie, Joy. Oh, there's so many people watching. Oh my gosh, Melissa, Corby, Lana, Gabby, lots of great questions. Let me see. I'm just going to kind of put them in an order that makes sense. Love your videos. So helpful for me in my dating life and staying sane. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you,
Yeah.
Robin. Okay. Roxy says, is it possible to get a man to see you differently after first showing masculine energy? Like if you've done the work and truly changed your and balanced your energy, will or can he perhaps notice? I would say yes. What would you say, Candice?
Absolutely. I mean, they're so damn hungry for a woman to turn up in the feminine that if you do it like that, he'll be like, oh, that's what I've been wanting. So they're pliable and they're wanting that. So all of us will go into our masculine at times. I will do it, and I'll even apologize to my partner. I'll go, I'm sorry, I went into that thing, and I just know how to just, I call it this concept of sort of soul flexibility, right? Where we learn to be able to be fluid in the way we can be, yeah? And so when you fluidify, in this instance, toward the feminine, he will immediately have space in which to respond to that again. Totally, totally possible.
Yeah, I love it. That kind of brings us, it's a perfect transition to the next question. What if he's attracted to my feminine energy and how is he attracted to my feminine energy and wants to experience femininity? Does this topic help him regain his masculine energy again? Great question for this topic on how to inspire his masculine desire. I would say yes. Obviously it depends on the guy, right? It depends on the situation, but I've had a lot of clients say, he really stepped up once I created that space and gave him a chance to like really step into his masculine. Candice, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that though.
I completely concur. My stance on this, if you like, again and again, because I work primarily with women, is because, again, we started with the what are mistakes women make, and I sort of led with, well, we need to, get inside of ourselves first. We need to realize that we have power inside of us in which to change the responses in our life and our environment. So following on from that, my stance is that let's not blame men for not being masculine enough, or not turning up in their masculine, or not being masculine, whether it's them personally or what the world is teaching them to or not to be. My stance is when we really, in an empowered way, stand in our feminine, men can do nothing but respond if they can meet you there. And I'm not saying every man in the world is going to be able to turn up in his masculine, but I can tell you what, that those men that can will respond to that.
You put that so perfectly, like literally just like took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, the point of doing this is not to make a guy step up and pursue you, right? That's like even having that, we're going to get him, we're going to make him do this. That's why I always say we're going to inspire it. if he's capable, if you're trying to make a guy do something, you're in your masculine, right? That's that results-oriented place.
Yeah.
I'm doing this because I'm trying to have this effect on another person. So I love what you said. Yeah, the point of this is to see if he's capable, truly. And if he is capable, and if he really is interested and wants to be in a relationship with you, he will step up. You know, that's how you do it. Tabitha says, yeah, learning to transition from the masculine back to feminine when in a relationship is what I struggle with the most. We'll definitely be talking about that, Tabitha. Let's do one more question before we move on. Let's see. How long will it usually take a man to come back towards you once he's pushed away, but now you're applying feminine energy? Oh, that's one of the most common questions I get. It's kind of hard to, without knowing the details of your situation, it's hard, you know. I don't think it has to take very long. I don't think, you know, it depends, like if there's been a lot of damage, it just depends on so many factors. But I've seen men turn around on a dime once a woman really leans back and opens herself up to this feminine energy side of herself. Any thoughts on that, Candice?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the same. There's a bit too many variables there that I don't think that we can answer it in a general context. We'd need a bit more context in your personal situation. But the thing is, again, my stance and my observation is men are so hungry for the feminine. The men adore, the masculine adores the feminine, will do anything for the feminine in us. And so if we consistently turn up in the feminine and we're willing to take responsibility when we've fluctuated toward the masculine, or in one of my models, you've fallen into the false feminine, and you keep standing up, willing, open, wanting his masculine to come online, wanting yourself to be mastering your true feminine power, he will know that. And again, we're using words at the moment that nobody out there will really be using. But the masculine in men is really sensitive to us. They're very, very sensitive to us. They've got, their hearts are just on this, you know, where they say wearing your heart on the sleeve. They're really wanting to open to us too. And they open to us through their masculine. They open to us through bringing their masculine forward and putting it on the line, right? So I think a lot of women think, oh, it's so scary to be in the feminine. I'm the one that has to be vulnerable and receptive. It's like, no, he's totally putting his masculine on the line too. And this is when opening and intimacy happens, is when we're both willing to turn up vulnerably. It's just that we're talking about the polarity differences. It is vulnerable for him. It's vulnerable for him to ask you out in the first place. It's vulnerable for him to lead and to want to make you happy, because that's what he's wanting to do all the time. And he's going to keep trying to do that. And so, as you know so well, Helena, there's lots of ways we need to learn in order to make that easier for him and not harder for him.
Totally. Oh my gosh. Wow. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone say that before. Any other expert I brought, it actually is vulnerable for him to be in his masculine. Like, it's a vulnerable thing. I can't even imagine what it's like being a man, having to approach a woman or face rejection, like constantly in real life and online. I love that you said that. Oh my gosh. So many great comments. You guys, Valentina says that you're speaking about this subject like no other. Thank you for bringing her to us. Oh my gosh, yes, I love talking to Candice. She's so awesome. Lots of great questions. I noticed you mentioned the false feminine, and I love the way you talk about these concepts. Just for people who, do you think it's important to mention it for this topic? It probably is, isn't it? The false feminine and all the different categories that you can fall into?
Yeah, sure. And I think just following up from something that you said there, Helena, when we were sort of alluding to the fact that if we are trying to get an outcome through manipulation unconsciously, we're still in a demanding or leading orientation. And that's not the true feminine. And anything that's a manipulation or a demand is really in the realm of what I call the false feminine. Okay. So look, the distinctions between what that is and feels like, I do whole trainings around. Think like manipulation, drama, demand is more the false feminine, and the masculine is more the leading, action, doing, competitive thing. That's just to give you a broad brush strokes there. Whereas in the true feminine, there's a real command of the feminine arts. There's a command of your own desire, what you want. As we just said a second ago, you help him by knowing your desire and knowing how to, in an empowered way, make requests, not demands, requests for what you want. And he loves that, because then the guesswork gets taken out of the picture, right? Because that's just one of the most infuriating things of all for men, is trying to guess what we want and guess what makes us happy. So it's our job, it's beholden to us to know what's going to make you happy. And that includes, excuse me, a deep dive into your own desire in order that you can ask for it. And then the next step logically is you ask for it, you don't demand it be done a certain way, and you let his masculine provide that for you in a way that may be surprising to you. Like, let there be magic somewhere in the mix, so you don't have to control every single motion of what's going to happen in this relationship, right? Control when you think he should text you next, or control where and when or how he should lead, or time even. Like the timing of the next things. I know for women, especially with an anxious attachment style, they get very anxious about the timing of when somebody's going to pursue them, right? It doesn't mean they're not pursuing you. It just means their timing might be a little bit different, and your anxiety is getting triggered. So again, we have to take stock of that and go, oh, my anxiety is getting triggered. Take a breath, go and have tea with a girlfriend or something. Do you see what I mean? So there's a lot of sort of coming back to yourself in the true feminine. This is mine. True feminine doesn't mean you're perfect, by the way. It doesn't mean that you don't get anxious. It doesn't mean that dating can be uncomfortable. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means that you know how to be feminine, and you know how to be in the feminine in the dynamics in relationships.
Wow, I just the way you explain everything is so just perfect and beautiful. Yeah, I talk a lot about taking your focus off of a man and what he's thinking and what's going on and where's this relationship going, does he like me, and putting that focus on yourself. And I think you just described exactly how to do that so beautifully. I'd love to get to some examples of like, what does this look like in real life? You know, what does it look like for a woman to be in her true feminine and inspire a man, maybe in the early stages of dating, and maybe, you know, for women who are in relationships too. By the way, before I forget, Candice has an amazing quiz, free quiz. I took it after our last live stream we did together, Candice, and I enjoyed it so much. It's this feminine archetypes quiz. So when she's talking about the false feminine, the true feminine, there's these feminine archetypes. We can talk more about that at the end, but that's in the description right now. So everyone go take the free quiz, and you get so much, you know, after you take the quiz, you get so much information into what category you're falling into and what you can do to make some shifts. I just thought that was amazing. So everyone go take the quiz. It's in the description right now. So yeah, do you have an example? Let's start for, let's say a woman is just dating a man and he's not asking her out or not really texting as much as she likes, but she knows that he's interested. You know, how would a woman inspire a man in that situation to step up and pursue her?
I feel like we need to go. So, okay. So have they had a first date yet or not?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the scenario.
Yeah, I know, right? I just kind of threw something out there. Yeah, let's say they've had a couple dates. Maybe they've been dating a couple weeks. A lot of women I hear from, they go, well, we had a few great dates and he's still coming around, but he's not really asking me out consistently, or he's not calling all that much. Is there anything you have to say for women in that situation?
Well, I mean, it's not answering our ultimate topic today, but date other people, for God's sake.
Oh gosh, yeah. That's just a given. That's just a given, yeah.
Because it just, you know, I know for so many women the tendency is, and they're doing that to us too, by the way. They're trying us on. They are trying us on. They're trying us on in their life in the first phases of dating. And they will put us in different situations in which to see if that feels good to them. They'll either put us with, you know, friends or, you know, situations. They'll put us in situations. They're trying us on. But what we tend to do is we tend to go into fantasy. We try them on in our mind and we project 50 years into the future. So look, one of the biggest suggestions is just stay really current and present. You do not know this person. They do not know you. This is a reality check. You will not even sort of know this person for 6, 9, 12 months. You have to have perspective. Even if once you've engaged a relationship with somebody, you still don't know them for 6 to 12 months is my guideline. There's just not enough data. There's not enough situations you've been put into. So anyway, back to the early dating scenario. You have to try to do something to get out of the insanity of the projecting too far ahead, and try to be a little bit more. This is the thing. You see, if you can do that, you can actually be more coquettish and more fun and more flirty and playful and light. Okay, be light in those early phases. You know, you can be light and you can still be assessing him, but he does not want to feel he's in a job interview with you. Okay. And I know for women, especially if they're in their 30s or something and they really want to get married and have babies, there's a lot of pressure internally. But somehow internally, you've got to drop that. You've got to take the metal off the pedal on that thing and go, look, I don't know this person or these people I'm dating. I'm being playful. I'm not playing. I'm being playful. I'm being light. And just, if you can get your head around this, you are the prize. And all these 8 men you're dating at this time, they've got to earn you. They have to earn you. You are not trying to prove to this person that you are a worthy candidate. You're just being yourself. You're being yourself as much as you can, when you're getting to know somebody you don't know.
Beautiful. I love that. It reminded me of your egg analogy from our last live stream we did together. I'll post a link to our last one in the description too, because everyone just loved it. They could not get enough of you. So good. Would you want to explain that a little bit about how as the egg you're just there, right? You're not chasing after.
Yeah. So this is about back to our very first topic today, which is we've got to stop being masculine and being the pursuer, and that's what I call being spermy. And we've got to stop being so spermy and become more eggy. Okay, so if you've ever actually seen under a microscope where you've got the egg, the ovum, right? And you've got the 50 million sperm vying for the egg. I think it is such a beautiful metaphor. Like the egg is just being there and big and beautiful and round and circular, which is very much the feminine, very much in the water element. And these little sperm are just going like bat out of hell to win the egg, right? And I don't know if you know this, but there's a situation where the egg, the outer layer of the egg, is actually open and receptive at that time. Like it's actually available. I'm receptive. And as soon as one of the sperm, usually one, occasionally it's more than one, penetrates, then once they've penetrated that, then it's not going to be one anymore. The other sperm can't get in. So, that's another whole topic about when you want to become exclusive. That's kind of what I'm talking about there. But there's no doing in that. There's a being. You see, the feminine is more on the line of being than doing. The sperm are doing the doing. The egg is being. The egg is being.
Beautiful. Don't you guys love that analogy? Everyone's saying, be more eggy. That's great. I love her advice. Everyone light and aloof. Okay. Someone's asking about getting the friend zone. She's in the friend zone. I think that kind of this is a good, right? So yeah, I would say if a guy says he just thinks of you as a friend, he just wants to be friends, just don't invest your time or energy there. Drop him and move on, right? Make yourself available to men who don't see you as just a friend. Those are my initial thoughts. What do you think, Candice?
Yeah, exactly. And not everybody thinks you are the gem, and that's just life, right? And that's okay. So if that person doesn't value what you are and what you bring to the table and who you are and what you offer, then you just continue dating, And I know it's hard. I know dating is very, very vulnerable. It's a really, really vulnerable thing to be doing on both sides of the equation. But take a breath, take a week off if you need to, have a little bit of time with your friends, but don't go on some sort of rant, again, false feminine stuff about men suck and why doesn't anybody like me. It's just, he hasn't seen you yet. Trust me, when your king turns up or the true masculine turns up and sees you, he will recognize you. He will go, this is a gem. This is a woman I want to be with, and I will do anything I can to win her and to keep her. Not just win, but to keep her. The masculine knows to keep pursuing. It doesn't just stop, by the way, when you've decided to turn your dating apps off. the nature of the masculine and the feminine is the masculine continues to win you. Like a true masculine man is always recognizing who you are, recognizing your feminine, recognizing you as a queen, and doing everything he can to keep winning you, basically.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Men love to win. So if you keep putting yourself in that situation, that's a good thing. This is not a bad thing. This is something they love to do.
Yeah, there's a difference between a man who wants you and a man who would do anything to keep you, right? Very different. Lots of guys are going to want you, right? It's a rare guy who's going to be like, you know, well, no, I wouldn't say necessarily rare, but he's different. He's going to set himself apart from all the other men who are just looking for something temporary or don't see you as, you know, the one woman for him. So for that woman who's asking about the friend zone, you want to make yourself available to a guy who knows what he wants, knows he's interested, and is like, I'm coming after this woman, right?
And also just the next phase of the friend zone is the friend zone, like I don't even want really to pursue you or even have sex with you. And then there's the type that will pursue you until they get what they want, and then they stop, right? Something kind of goes limp literally in their pursuit, and they're in something doesn't feel right. So this is not quite our topic, but you know, I have had a lot of conversations with a lot of people about the delaying of sex thing, and I had to learn to do this, okay? Because I could get highly attracted to someone and just go, I just want to have sex with him. And I had to have a lot of coaching from friends and relationship coaching friends around this. Like, no, this is like, you've got to understand that our sexuality is at the core of our feminine power. And that's the thing that they have to win. And they really have to earn that. And I don't know what you need to do in the meantime, but my personal suggestion is the more you can hold that as this ultimate prize for them, and then watch that they keep earning that in you, you'll understand the power in our sexuality. Like, men want sex with us because there's so much of our feminine in that, right? So let them pursue you. Let them pursue your mind, your energy, your time, your mind, your body, okay? And then your sexuality. Let them pursue you. Let them earn you and let them win you. They want to do that. You're not being mean. You're not playing games. A certain amount of, it might feel like restraint somewhere internally, but as you create restraint, you're creating a little bit of boundary there too. Like, I really am not, I've had conversations with men about this. It's like, no, we're not having sex tonight. And here's why. And usually for me, I am actually valuing them more and more if I'm in restraint. If I'm going, no, I just want to be really sure. And these are my conditions. You know, I actually have conditions, which is I wouldn't go there unless I was starting to pursue a relationship with somebody and the apps get turned off. That's just one of Candice's dating rules.
Love it. Yeah, so good. Everything you're saying is so good. Yes, this is going to be posted. Just you can come right back to the people are asking, is this going to be? Yeah, the replay is going to be same link. You can come back to it, so you don't have to worry about missing anything. Let's see. So many great questions. I'm going to ask a couple of these right now. Rocio asks, how does this work if he's an introverted personality type and you're extroverted? How does a woman being in her feminine energy work if the man is introverted? I'd love to hear your take on that, Candice.
See, sometimes these questions are a little difficult to answer because I don't know each person's attachment style, and there's a few other things that we'd need to know before we can answer this really. I mean, I have seen that work really well in situations. Some of the best relationships I remember in my life is when the woman was the extrovert and the man was this deeply introverted man that just would basically be this background protector of her the whole time and was totally engaged with her, but she was more extroverted, you know, and social and that kind of thing. But he was the one that won her. Because he actually felt a lot more grounded, a lot more solid, a lot more internal, all those things. So it can totally work. It's a very different paradigm than the masculine feminine paradigm there, by the way. Very masculine men can be introverts.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh my gosh, I love how you said that. Someone else asked, is being too feminine bad while also being an alpha woman? what's your take on that? I know you have a lot to say about the false feminine versus the true feminine. Does that fit into that category of question? Can you be too feminine in your opinion?
I just don't quite understand that, be too feminine and an alpha woman. I just really don't understand the question. I'm really sorry. I just can't put my finger on what you're asking.
Yeah, that's all. It's just, is being too feminine bad while also being an alpha woman? Sounds like she identifies as an alpha woman and is wondering if being too feminine is bad.
Okay, that helps. Yeah. And I know what I'm hearing, and I'm just going to have to interpret your question because it's just one line there. But I know, and I know this for myself. You see, when you don't really know what the feminine is, or let's just say you've forgotten, like it's got buried inside you, there's a lot of fear around what that could mean. And one of the things that alpha or strong, more masculine-oriented women believe is that they'll lose their power, that they will feel less powerful or weak. And I've got numerous videos in this direction. If they become feminine, that they will... The concept of feminine power is a bit like talking about unicorns to them, right? That, well, feminine and power, isn't that oxymoronic? And yet the thing is, when you actually engage it and you actually start to feel it in your body and your energy, and you start to be able to communicate through your feminine, and you start to walk through life like this, you will actually realize there is immense power in it. And don't hear manipulation. That's the false feminine. I mean, you feel powerful. In fact, I'd submit you feel more powerful because you're way more plugged into life force. I'll give you an example. I have a long-term client. I'm not working with her now, but she came to me, self-professed, corporate sales diva bulldog. She had enough wherewithal to realize she was doing research. She found me on YouTube, actually. She was doing research on the feminine. Like, somewhere inside she knew something was missing, but she couldn't quite put a finger on it. So super, super successful corporate woman, right? And then we started to do private work together, and she trained in my group programs. And the big thing for her was, well, how do I apply this into my corporate environment, right? Well, firstly, we got her in with a wonderful man, very different than previous relationships. And then she goes, but this is not possible in the corporate world. And she saying she worked for like a multinational 25,000 person company. And I said, well, why don't we just try a few things? And so she started to implement the feminine arts in business meetings, in dynamics with clients, et cetera, et cetera. And it did take a bit of time, okay, because we are having to unravel things in order to learn herself, able to bring her feminine power into her corporate environment in such a way that makes her more respected by the mainly men she works with. They help her, they support her, and she is enjoying the environment way, way more. So I think I might be speaking to some of your anxieties and fears there. Too feminine. That sounds like something you should consider to pursue rather than to worry about. Yep. So I don't think any of us that have actually, akin to Helena here, who have actually engaged our feminine power have felt less intelligent, capable. Our businesses have grown. We enjoy what we do a lot more. We have a lot more fun with everybody around us, women, men. Okay, so you might be talking about, okay, I'm blind to this thing. I have no idea what it looks like or feels like, and I'm afraid of it. And by the way, remember, that's not just about your fear in this life. We as women hold in our bodies, inscribed in our consciousness, fear for centuries about bringing our feminine power forward. I mean, we were literally burnt, buried, drowned for it not that long ago. So we do have real fears inside of us that feminine power will elicit a very violent response. And so sometimes you might need private coaching around it. There may be things that in this life or past lives get triggered around this. And so, Helena's, well-versed on dealing with these things, and so am I. So just something to consider.
Wow. Oh my gosh. I'd love to do like a whole nother live stream just on that topic, because that was very powerful. Dee Dee asked, what are the archetypes for the true and false masculine? Great question, Dee Dee.
Yeah. I mean, I don't teach that. So know that there is a true and false masculine. And the thing is, every time a woman asks me that, I go, why do you need to know that? The only thing you need to know is that there are kings who are in their true masculine, and there are women who are in their true feminine. Okay. The only thing I would say is, just the reason why I'm redirecting your question is not out of disrespect. It's just, you've got to look at yourself first. Because I promise you, when you stand in your queen, any false masculine that cannot stand in their true masculine will fall away. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. You will literally be exuding a very different vibration and a different energy, and it will attract men that can meet you there. And those others are going to be really obvious to you that they're not in their true masculine.
Wow, that is so true. You'll just repel them. They won't even show up in your energy field, or if they're
they'll
there,
try, but they'll be like knocking on your feet, and you'll be going,
yeah.
Sorry, you're just not meeting me.
Yeah, this like natural kind of attrition process where the wrong people just like fall away, they just fade away, and then that's it. Something big happens, or they just kind of naturally fade out, and then the truly empowered masculine man step in. That's been my experience, at least. Lauren asked a great question. Kind of the next area I wanted to go into: is there a way to communicate to a man that you welcome their masculine? Interesting question. I'd love to hear your thought. I mean, of course, everything we're doing, even just leaning back into your feminine energy, is being an invitation. It is communicating. It's not like you have to lean forward and go, hey, just to let you know, I'm welcoming your masculine, right?
Which would be masculine. I mean, right. Yeah, I'm just going to concur with what you said. The funny thing about communicating the feminine at first is it's largely energetic. And back to my theme that the masculine is very sensitive to feminine energy. And, there's things that you have to be willing to do. And just the way Helena said that, leaning forward. And I used to have to catch myself all the time when I was dating, because I'm so used to kind of, if I'm interested, I'll lean forward, or I'll kind of start to engage a conversation in a voracious kind of way. And my body language, and I'd have to go lean back. Like literally, I would do it with my body language because it would elicit a certain of the cup consciousness thing. Like I would take a breath, right? So another thing I would say is, look, I deal with super, super brilliant women. So the thing is, in your early dating phases, a truly masculine man who you will require is also going to match your intelligence. He's going to work out you're super bright without you having to say anything about your status, your job, your houses, your cars. You don't have to say that. You don't have to. I say don't lead with your outer success. He's going to work that out. And in fact, maybe he's not going to earn that from you, right? So what if you turned up and led with your feminine? Just consider that you could be, well, I'm going to lead with my feminine. I'm going to be playful. I'm going to have fun with this. And I want to discover about him. Why don't you let him lead with the masculine things and his success? Because he is going to want to prove to you that he's a viable candidate. Let him do that.
I like that you said when you're starting off with this, so much of it is energetic, because a lot of women ask me questions that like, how do I show him that I'm feminine now? And just that energy of like, how do I convince him that things are going to be different? There's actually a question that reminded me of this question. I'm doing no contact right now to get attention. Is that the way? I want to do things on social media because I genuinely like it. Yeah, if you're doing anything to get attention, that's not the way. That's actually coming from your masculine energy. It's coming from this need to have an effect on him or make him feel a certain way. Yeah. So the right way, if you're in no contact, would be like, I don't know what your situation, your personal situation, but if you're doing it for yourself, because that's what feels healthy to you, if it's some situation that doesn't feel good to you to be a part of right now, that would be the reason to do it, because it feels like the right thing to you, not because of the effect it will have on him. What are your thoughts, Candice?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to, we want to be respectful with anyone's questions, and we can only take it on face value what you're asking, but the tone of the question sounds pretty game playing, and that doesn't work for you, it's not going to work for him. Game playing is false feminine. It's only going to be engaging someone's false masculine. You see, when we're trying to play a game or manipulate or make something happen through a back door or something, it's coming from the premise that you can't have what you want. And so this is where, again, I always say, you got to go back to yourself, work out what it is that you want. Who are you? What is your true desire? What is it that you are and you want in your life? And you own that in yourself. You own that in your body. You become that person. You know, you don't change who you are or what you love to do or who you love to be with just because you're dating and you're trying to find love and stuff. That's a beautiful pursuit. But you don't stop your life or put your life on hold for that pursuit.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. So many questions. Someone says, I'm feeling too spermy. I love that, Valentina. He's responding his way. He likes to be pursued. Everyone requires hearing. Okay, yeah. So many people asking, he likes to be pursued. If I text him, he responds right away. Or he made it clear at the beginning that he likes equal effort, or he kind of wants to be chased a little bit. So I want to kind of lump all of those into the same category. I see you rolling your eyes over there and shaking your head. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yes, please tell me everything you're thinking about that.
Look, there's one of two things happening there. He's either too much in his feminine or he's totally in the false masculine. Just cut it off at the knees and move on. I'm sorry to be strong about that, but that just sounds like a whole load of too much effort.
I agree. Yeah, it's going to be way too much work for you. It's like, you don't have time for that. I see you guys as like way up here. You don't have time for, I mean, yeah. Oh my God. I love what you said there. That was amazing. Joy has a really common question. Any tips for when you start feeling that someone's out of your league when they're pursuing you? The caliber of men are getting better, but sometimes I feel unworthy. Do you have any tips for feeling more worthy of actually being pursued? Great question. Wow. Yeah, Candice, what do you think about that?
I gotta tell you, having done very serious self-transformation work for over 20 years, and I had this conversation with a friend today. I said, look, the thing is, in the realm of our primary relationships, that is the most vulnerable, edgy thing. Like, we could be doing other transformation work, but every day we're communicating our needs, and we're in an environment with loving someone and being loved by someone. And it is the one thing that exposes our, I say, soft underbelly, right? It exposes our biggest vulnerabilities. And what I hear behind your words is there's something wrong with that. I'm hearing behind your words that it's very vulnerable that you're finding a really good quality man leaning in and interested in you. It's like, whoa, I'm actually might be getting what I want. Whoa, that's edgy and it's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that. So one of two things you might need to get some coaching or therapy to help you with those edges. Or, as I've done in the past when I was dating, is I would communicate my vulnerability, to the man. I would say, wow, remember an early date once, we went on 2 and 3 dates with someone, and he took me to this beautiful restaurant, and he sat down, and I said, wow, I'm really vulnerable about our date tonight. I'm just feeling, I was really looking forward to it. I'm really happy to see you, and I'm feeling really vulnerable. I tell you what, he all but engulfed me in his energy for the rest of the night. He didn't look at another woman in the room. He was just loved the vulnerability. Yeah. And you have to say, I feel unworthy of you. That's falling on your sword or falling into the false feminine. It's vulnerable. I'm feeling really vulnerable. That's okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Men love it when we're vulnerable. It's a common misconception that men don't like emotions, but it couldn't be further from the truth. They love, you say, well, I'm feeling a little nervous right now. You're so handsome, or, give him a compliment. Let him know you are feeling excited, feeling nervous. He will just, oh my gosh, he will love that. Love it. Fiona says, I feel so much more powerful in my feminine. Relationships are better. The type of men I attract is better quality. My boyfriend treats me like a queen. I'm respected and taken seriously. Oh my gosh, that's exactly what we're talking about. Love it. Archetypes are cool because they give you an embodied example of what to model. Great question. Do you find yourself saying very little or sometimes saying nothing when you're in your feminine energy? I'm worried that I'll come across as bland or uninteresting. What a great question.
That's a really good question, by the way. I think in the line of what I said before of not leading with your success means, so one thing I had to learn how to do, because I can literally converse with anybody from on the street to a king, right? Like I can start up a conversation and engage a conversation with anybody. So I have a certain social skills there, even though, by the way, I'm a total introvert. But in the dating scenario, I would let there be gaps and pauses, because it would create that cup consciousness space in which he could enter and he could lead the conversation. It's not about becoming a doormat or becoming stupid. It's just when you start to learn this feeling, this embodied difference between cup consciousness, and arrow consciousness, you've got to give space. So we're so used to seeing social media and television shows and comedies and whatever, where the banter is just blah, 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 blah. And the thing is, nobody is actually receiving anybody. What if you just gave a few seconds pause after he said something and received him? You don't have to come back with some witty commentary or some super bright whatever. Just create some spaciousness. He's going to really appreciate the spaciousness. So it's not about whether you do or don't converse. Allow there to be some space. Allow things to be maybe wound down a little bit. He's been in this high competitive environment all day. He's going to appreciate that you're receiving him, which means receiving his words, which means allowing things to flow a little bit more. The feminine's a lot about flow, right? So there's a big difference between allowing a conversation to flow and playing tennis across a table, right? That's a bit arrow, right?
Oh my gosh. I love how you explain that. So I want to just like publish that little clip as its own video, because yeah, it's so important. We think we're like connecting on all these levels and having this witty banter, and a man's just might be thinking, oh, she'd be a good friend or a business partner, but that does nothing for romance, right? That does nothing to his feelings of attraction to you and the deep heart to heart connection. I love what you said. It can be hard to like sit through those awkward pauses in conversation. I still catch myself a lot of times. I want to just jump in and fill those gaps with everyone, men, women, because I just want everyone to be comfortable. And we can all tend to do that as women. But just like you said, the feminine energy is the receiving partner. So really listening to him, rather than being up in your head trying to figure out what to say next, or he says he took a vacation here and then go, oh, well, here's where I went. We're trying to go toe to toe with the man, like you said, like a tennis game. Yeah, and men can feel it when you're going to go competitive on them. And wow, that was so amazing. I love that so much. Oh my gosh, great question from Jen. She says, how do you recognize a true king?
Well, one thing I can tell you is, until you really stand in your true feminine, you won't be seeing them. And you'll be sometimes perceiving someone as a king, and they're actually, you see, in America, someone did ask before about the different masculine archetypes. America loves the jock. The jock is the equivalent of the princess in my model. And the jock is made out to be the primo masculine thing, especially in the American society. And he's not. He's totally in his false masculine. I'm not saying all the time, but the jock archetype is the false masculine. The true masculine can look very, very different. Someone asked about an introverted man, and the gentle giant kind of man, introverted, whatever, can be the true king. A lot more quiet, very solid, very secure in themselves. They are secure in their own sense of accomplishment. It's a different feeling, and you don't recognize them unless you're in the queen. That's the thing. And it's unfortunately what happens in the false masculine, false feminine world is they tend to hang out together, and there's a lot of angst and drama in that world. And there is not angst and drama in the true feminine, true masculine dynamic. And that might sound uninteresting or uninspiring or not exciting to someone that's used to living in drama. And again, our TV shows elicit this as if it's normal, and it's not. When your nervous system can relax with somebody, okay, when you can actually be in a flow with somebody and your nervous system and you relax, you can feel like, wow, this man can really hold me. He can hold my energy. I feel safe. I feel held. It creates a very different experience in terms of communication. And again, in the false feminine, false masculine dynamics, there's often a lot of excitement sexually and all that, but it just elicits a lot of anxiety. I know I used to believe this, that if I was with a secure man, oh, the sex is going to be boring and dull and whatever. It couldn't be further from the truth. Like when the nervous system relaxes and you're with somebody who's solid and deep, the level of depth and intimacy that they can tap into in you and them is a totally different order of magnitude. And that's actually where you engage true feminine sexuality, but that's not the topic of our conversation today. Maybe that's another one we need to talk about.
I was just gonna say, oh my gosh, another video to do. I would love to do a whole live stream on that. Yeah. Kay Page says, Helena and Candice, have either or both of you written a book? If not, I hope it's I've written several books. I've written lots of books, like ebooks and audio programs, video programs. They're all, if you go to helenahartcoaching.com/ebooks, the link is probably in the description right now because it just normally is on my live streams. But if not, I'll include it after. What about you, Candice? Any programs or anything you'd like to talk about while we're...
Yeah, I mean, I tend to, these days, I'm more of a speaker. So all of my trainings are in video or audio, okay? And then it's also transcribed into script, but I haven't written anything into a book yet. It's been there in the background. I need to get someone to ghostwrite it for me because I'm way more interested in speaking and engaging people personally.
It's a lot easier for me too. Oh my gosh, the writing is the hardest thing for me. Just sit down and just do it. Yeah, I'd much rather talk to people. Yeah. Oh, you guys are so sweet. You guys have, oh my gosh, yes, the nervous system relaxing, better sex for the women for sure. Thank you. That's exactly what I needed to hear. Growing up around the jock archetype intensely, being a competitive swimmer, totally messed with my inner image of what a man is. Whoa, wow, yeah. Powerful. Maria says, what if he keeps talking and talking and talking? I get irritated sometimes or impatient because he'll keep talking. He doesn't pause. I've noticed that happens a lot. Any thoughts there?
Oh my gosh. Haven't we all had those dates? Oh my goodness. It's so tricky, you know, and this is, the only thing I would say is, look, he's either a douche that will never turn his attention on you, or he's just really, really vulnerable and attracted to you, and he's trying to prove himself. So, look, I have one thing. I have something that I would ask men to do, because sometimes if they're vulnerable and they've just met you, they'll be a bit furtive with their eyes, and I'll just say, hey, I really love eye contact. It's really important to me. Would you keep eye contact with me? And sometimes when they see your eyes, they can just be more with you, and they're not in their head like I'm doing, and then right? Like oh wow, you're really beautiful, or let them change the pace. But it's just one of those things. I like making eye contact. So try that.
I love it. Yeah, I love you said it's he either is just all about himself, but yeah, there's also this guy who's just super nervous and clueless and would be a great guy for you. Yeah, a lot of questions sort of along that lines, like a guy, actually, no, it's a different topic a little bit. Like he said he was going to call and he didn't. They kind of had plans and they haven't heard from him. Is there a way to like say, communicate your needs, communicate what you wished would have happened while staying in this true feminine energy?
Absolutely. This is really all about desire and clarity. So let's just say that you've been on a date with them and they say, hey, yeah, I'm going to, let's go on a date again at the end of the week. And you'll go, great. What I would love is that you confirm that with me by Wednesday. That would make me really happy. And, I get really excited then when I know, what we're doing and when we're doing it. That is not being leading. That is you talking about your desire and your needs up front. So don't let the moment go by to give him some clarity. If he doesn't contact you by Wednesday, whatever it is, move on, do another date, arrange something else. Don't get hooked up on that. But if you've left things flimsy, as he's left things flimsy, then you see what I mean? Like there's just a bit of an impasse there. So it's an opportunity to just say, hey, that would be awesome. I need to know by Wednesday. That would be great if I could know by Wednesday. And then I'd love to know where we're going to. because I'd like to know what to wear, because I'd like to really dress up for you or something.
Beautiful. I love that. Very specific. I thought that was great. I love, it's always helpful to say, what do I say in this situation, right? While not stepping into that masculine territory. 212 people watching live. Oh my gosh, this was maybe the most live viewers I've had in a really long time. I'm so glad you guys are loving this. So many great comments. Oh my gosh. Yes, Valentina, thank you so much. She said the two of you together are the best camaraderie I've ever felt or seen thus far. Oh my gosh. Yes. Love having Candice on. So great. Great question. Maybe I'll just close out on this one because I know we're getting to the end of the hour and this has been phenomenal, Candice. We should definitely do some more. Jen asked, what if you feel like being an arrow consciousness every once in a while? Always having to be the cup sounds difficult. And I thought that was a great kind of place to end. What do you think about that, Candice?
Oh gosh, there's so many things to answer in that question. It's very loaded. Firstly, there is nothing wrong with being in your masculine at times. Nothing. I always say we don't want to cut off one arm, that's strong just to build the strength in the other arm. That's just silly. We're talking about different types of consciousness. And I've got a whole video on masculine, feminine consciousness on my channel. You can check it out. I just needed to elucidate that because I'm asked it so often. The second part of your question, however, does illuminate that you don't really know what the feminine is. Okay, because it's not hard to be in the feminine. It's incredibly embracing. It's easy once you know how to flow with it. So it illuminates a little bit. You need some coaching or some courses or some help or some community sisterhood or mentorship or something to show you that it's actually easier. It's if we're talking about cup consciousness being more being and that you don't have to do doing, hopefully that can pass that's doing less. And so another way I'd like to describe it is, look, if we're constantly pushing out the tide, the tide goes out and we keep pushing the tide out and we keep pushing the tide and we keep pushing the tide out and we never let the tide come back in. It's a law of nature for the tide to come back in. And this is not just in relationship dynamics, this is in life. We run our own businesses. Helena and I have our own businesses. And we learn to become sensitive when, the tide's turning. I need to stop doing, I need to stop control, whatever. I need to let the tide come back in toward me. And, in the line of cash flow and inviting people into your programs or into your private practice, we have to receive, right? So doing and receiving, action versus receptivity, opening, is just two different laws of nature. And as women, in a woman's body, we are built more for the feminine. It's just that when you don't know what that feels like, okay, so we can talk around this topic and give you ideas, but you've got to learn to embody this. You've got to learn to embrace it in yourself, for yourself, first and foremost, and learn to enjoy what that feels like to be in the feminine, what it feels like to be in the feminine with other women, right? And to feel safe with other women. That altogether is another topic too, right? That we've learned to not be safe in our feminine with other women, that in fact, a lot of women in our environment uphold the masculine in us and are violently in opposition to the feminine. That's another conversation too. So just giving you maybe some parameters or some thoughts to chew over, that it doesn't have to be what you think it is. It's actually quite different than what you're positioning there.
Oh yeah, and Jen says, "Oh yes, I know it's easier." Yeah, something that my mic keeps getting tangled in my hair. It's driving me nuts today.
I know that one. I
need to get one of those wireless ones everybody has now. My clients or women who have been watching my videos or have my programs, working with the tools for a while, they go, "Oh my gosh, I feel so much more powerful and it's so easy. I don't even know what I was doing before." How did I keep that up? Because just like you said, doing and giving so much in all areas of your life, it kind of goes against our nature as women to be that receiving partner. So I love everything you said. I know that was the last question, but we had one more come in that's really great and totally related. Do you mind if we do one last one? Okay, Wonderfully Made says, is there such a thing as leaning back too much? If a man is not organically pursuing me, I tend to lean back and discontinue communication until he reaches out again. What are your thoughts on that? Can you be leaning back too much?
Look, I mean, I'll give you a personal example. So when I was first on Bumble with the interactions with my current partner, what happened was Bumble is a particular app where within 24 hours, as the woman, if you say yes, if there's a match, yes, the woman has 24 hours to sort of start to engage that person, or they disappear off the app, right? So it's great because it empowers the woman to be making the decisions in terms of the dating dynamics. So we were texting a little bit. We had a phone call. Yeah, I can't remember. No, we hadn't had a phone call yet. But anyway, and then he kind of disappeared a bit. And so afterwards, I realized something had happened with his son. And I just got a ping. You know, I was very, very clear on not pursuing, right? Very clear. And I just got an intuitive ping. I went, I'm going to reach out to him one more time because I saw that he put new photos up of his son's graduation. And I just said, handsome family, I hope you're doing really well. Just a little message. He immediately got back to me and said, when are we going to hook up? When are we going to get together? Because he lives in Sacramento, so that was a bit of an effort. So that was not pushing. It was literally just speaking to something that I saw. And then I went, that's the last thing I'm going to do.
That's a great example. Great example. Yeah. Hopefully that answers your question too, Jen. Like, is it ever okay to reach out? Something I kind of always say is that if you're not attached to the outcome or the results, you can kind of do anything, right?
Whatever you want, yeah. If you're trying to control or grasp or manipulate, maybe just take a breath or take a day or something. If it's just, remember, I'm just going to keep, if I can press anything on you, you do not know this person. Even if you've met them and dated them a few times, you do not know this person. This is a time of discovery. It could end up as friendship. Who knows? That's great. Let there be discovery. Let it be fun. Let it be playful. Try to keep it light until something starts to shift in the tone of what's happening between you. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. I love that. I'm glad you agree with me. I wasn't sure if you would there, where I say you can kind of do whatever you want. If you know a guy's into you, if you know he's crazy about you, or if you just don't care about the outcome or the result, who cares? Just why not, right? If you're going to be attached to your phone and lose sleep and feel horrible or devastated, if you don't get the response you were hoping for, if you're going to feel really frustrated or heartbroken, whatever the case may be, that's a big clue to lean back, right? Get back into your feminine energy. So this was phenomenal, Kiss. I can't wait for you to read everything in the live chat. Everybody say thank you for your inspiration. And you guys are awesome. We have all 212 people stay all the way till the end. So this was phenomenal. I would love to do another one with you soon, Candice. Let's talk about your Feminine Archetypes quiz, your free gift for everyone that's in the description right now. I'll also include a link to your YouTube channel. Candice has an amazing YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, the quiz is just, it's a way to give you a first look at what your dominant archetype is. Because the truth is, and I really want you to understand this, we all can move between the true and the false feminine. We have triggers that can make us fall in the false feminine. So don't take this as didactic or absolute or anything. The model I use as the core model for my trainings is the feminine archetype. So just take the quiz. It'll give you your dominant archetype, but then what I follow up with is a bunch of information, emails that give you all of the archetypes so that you can learn them, so that you can discover them. You can read, I've got video and information there. So it's really, I really want to give you the picture. And I know that for many women, it gives them a huge aha, like, wow, when I see the archetypes, the true and the false feminine, the priestess and the queen, and the princess and the maid, wow, I can really see that in other people. I can really see that in myself. And it starts to create like a wireframe or a framework for you to start to understand your feminine and to start to observe it in other people.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I love that quiz. And I love I read all your emails and all the follow-up stuff from that. I was so interested in it. And by the way, you told me which archetype I was like 5 minutes into talking with me for the first time. And I took the quiz and you were totally right. If anyone's curious, actually, Candice told me I was the queen archetype with a little splash of high priestess. And it was literally spot on. I don't know how you do it, but I think you said you can tell which
pretty quickly.
Yeah, you said when a woman walks in a room, I can tell what archetype she is. I just thought that was really interesting. So that was mine. I took the quiz myself. I loved it. Everyone, please go check that out. And Candice, any last words of wisdom or tips or anything you'd like to share on this topic of how to inspire a man's masculine desire to pursue you?
It may not seem like the answer to your question, but the thing that I'm getting is be willing to be vulnerable. You already are vulnerable underneath your shells. Be willing to let that be seen a little bit.
I love it. Got something else I talk about all the time. I just did a live stream on that topic actually last week. And it's just something that it's just constantly something that we can work on and be reminded of and go into like deeper and deeper levels of intimacy, not just in the early stages of dating, but like really throughout the course of your lifetime and your whole relationship, right? Just
Absolutely.
yeah, it's a daily practice. It's not like you kind of learn this once and then you've graduated and then it's, you know.
I never do the vulnerability thing anymore. No,
Exactly.
It's actually like, whoa, there's all these different levels of that. And vulnerability leads to intimacy, which leads to depth, which leads to more opening, which leads to more love. Right?
And
So
sexual attraction, right? Yeah, we talked about it in our last live stream with the key to maintaining intimacy, and that we talked about the polarity and how I think, you know, a lot of people say getting familiar with someone is like it kind of kills the sexual attraction. I think vulnerability, like you said, is a way into true intimacy, which can help with all of that, right? And keep things interesting. And I just love everything you have to say, Candice. Let's definitely do this again soon. Yeah, thank you so much for everyone saying, you know, thank you. It really, your interview illuminates Candice's genius. Yes, she's a total genius. Oh my gosh. Thank you for never stopping your communication on not being attached to the outcome. Yes, absolutely. Very, very important. Thank you. This has been wonderfully helpful. Thank you both. Thank you, Helena and Candice. Very inspiring. Oh my gosh, you guys are so sweet. I can't wait to go back. Yeah, I'm always like trying to read the chat and listen to my wonderful experts. So thank you, Candice. This was so amazing. We should definitely do some more of these. And thank you everyone for watching. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section if you're watching the replay of this. We love hearing from you and have a great weekend, everyone. Candice, thank you so much again.
Much love to you, Helena. Thank you so much. It was beautiful.